Martin, we've had some tremendous success using the inside approach over the past year, and some amazing success in the results that we've seen with some of our students using it the way we've showed. You've got some great ways to show, and I'd like you to share.
Well, Jim, first of all, congratulations, because it's a fantastic product. I mean, it really does help people improve. Although, let me just say this first of all. Most golfers come to my tee as they come to your tee, as I'm sure they go to almost any tee country club anywhere else in America, and they say their one request is, I would love to be consistent. Well, I have good news and bad news. Most people are very consistent. That's the good news. Right. The bad news is they are consistently stuck right where they are. Why is that? One of my early teachers said to me, there's 3 things you must have when you have practice to improve. 3 things. There's only 3 things, and they are, number 1, accurate feedback, number 2, accurate feedback, and number 3, accurate feedback. Right, and you get that with the inside approach. For goodness sake, golfers can't fix what they don't understand. Right. So I have various ways to use the inside approach, Jim. Going back to your original statement. A lot of the time, I will use it as you originally designed it to be used. Mm-hmm. That's for the sort of the over top, and to me this would be the sort of the getting into it before you get to the advanced stuff. And of course, if I swing on that tilted circle, or that sort of, it's a slant you can see there, if I swing on that slant and I come back down on that slant, then my club will come from under the cushion. You'll get a beautiful feeling of a nice shallow blow. The club's going from inside to on the line. The club face is going from open to square to slightly closed. And if you can do that, lo and behold, you can hit the magical draw, which gives you distance.
Right.
Now, golfers must understand, when the ball doesn't go straight, it is not because the ball does not like them. That's not the problem. The problem is, whether it's you, me, even the great Jack Nicklaus, if the ball goes offline, something went wrong with the orbit of that club. Perhaps you were swinging too much to the left. Well, if you do that with the inside approach, you'll hit the cushion. If you do it correctly, you'll come from under here. I have some sort of slightly more advanced, or what I would say more telling tests that a golfer can take to expand their level of awareness. One of those would be to do this. If I really want to make sure a golfer is going to swing from the inside, I will put my club about a foot behind the ball, and then I will turn the inside approach so that the cushion is at 90 degrees to the target line. Now you can see that's going to be a far greater demand that I swing from the inside and have a shallower approach for ball. If there's anybody out there who isn't quite hitting the ball as far as they would like, this would be worth doing. Because this shallow approach, this does not just give you inside, but this gives you the shallow approach, just about guarantees the draw spin on the ball. Right. And you would get this feeling of, gosh, that club feels much lower into the ball. Gosh, my shoulders feel quieter there back. And it is the feeling, it's not just the understanding.
Martin, explain how when it comes to the inside, why does that allow the face to square to hit that draw?
Well, when the golf club is swinging from what I would call the correct direction, all the force is going out to the ball. We've got the toe turning round the shaft, and it's very much just the correct angle that a golfer has to swing at to hit decent shots. In the history of the game, I can't think of anybody who's played golf at all any good from vertical. There are some that are more upright than others, but everybody is swinging, everybody is standing to the side of the ball and swinging that club around them. And of course, the higher handicap player, as we know, comes down over here. Better players actually tend to swing too much from underneath or out to the right. Okay, can the inside approach help those people? Certainly it can, and this is how I do that. I take the inside approach, and I'm now going to put it on the inside of the golf ball. This is very much a better player's way to practice. I'll put the club about a foot or so behind the ball on the target line. Club head would be on the target line, and I'll put the cushion just there. Now, if I now take the club too inward at the takeaway, I'm going to hit the cushion.
Fixes your backswing as well.
So it certainly helps with the backswing for sure.
Helps.
It doesn't let you whip that club too far inside. If I am, you know, as I say, typically for juniors and strong hitters, they sometimes get up here, they drive the legs too fast, the club drops what is called too much inside or behind. Well, then if I'm coming in here, I would hit it. Now, I'm actually going to hit one here and I am going to let the club swing too much from the inside. This would be the shot where Tiger tells you it's trapped behind him.
Right.
Well, it'd be a similar swing. I'm not sure this shot will be quite like Tiger's. But this would be too much from the inside. And there's the feedback. Words can only convey understanding, they don't convey the feel, which is what we need. So if you did it properly, what would you then feel? Well, if you were a player who swung too much from the inside or too much out to the right.
They fight hooks, pushes.
They do.
That's
hooks, pushes, not so easy to make good ball turf contact.
Right. Thin, heavy.
Tendency to hit the wall towards the heel. Staying in front of this cushion, you might have heard these sort of buzzwords in golf. Some people would call that keeping the club in front of them. I think it's just on a plane. But some people would call it keeping in front of them. Some people would say, you know, everything is stacked. It's the club's not trapped. My arms are in front of the body. Whatever term you want to call it, but what you will probably feel if you're coming from in here as your error is you will probably feel that the hands are a bit further away from the body, the club's out a bit more. And of course from here, then the club can go a bit more that way, and that would be more of a straight to a slight fade swing.
Right.
Golfers must remember that if you're going to improve, you have to have accurate feedback, accurate feedback, accurate feedback. And with the inside approach, that's just what you get, and you will get better if you use it.
What I'm going to do here with the inside approach is give you some other ideas and the way I use it and what can really help you with your golf swing. We know in the golf swing that you want your backswing to go back and you want the downswing to shallow out just a little bit. So one thing you can do to see if that happens, you take it, you put it on the target line, you turn it up. Okay, now what I have here is now I've got a visual to where I can take the club back and go slightly above it and then come underneath it coming down. So now my backswing goes up, the downswing comes slightly underneath it. You can move this more to the inside if you want so that the club goes up and still comes inside. You can move it wherever you want to go to get the path that you want to have for your swing and for your ball flight. So setting it up back there in that position helps you to see if you're making the swing do the things you want it to do path-wise. That's a very good help when it comes to changing the path, changing the ball flight. So I use that a lot. Now, one thing that hasn't been talked about is how does the inside approach help what's going on in your body? Well, a lot of people have a hard time with how much to move their lower body and where it moves. So if I set the inside approach up right here so that when I set up to the ball, it's barely touching my leg, just below my knee. Now as I swing back, if I move too much, it falls out. So now I can hook this in, get set up. I can make a backswing and I start to get a feel for how to load into my right hip without having my knee slide too much. So it's very valuable to feel how to make a swing and how to get your weight to shift without your hip sliding. So that's the backswing side of it. Now what about the follow through? We take it, we turn it around, and now it's up against my left leg. Well, a lot of people, the big problem that they have in their swings is they get way too much slide this way in their knees. So it's how do I know when to turn and how do I know how far that left knee can go? Well, now I've got this set up and I set up so that it's just barely touching. Now I make my backswing, I come back down into the ball, and again, if I slide into it too much, it'll pop it out. If I make the right swing, and I rotate through the ball properly, it won't do anything to it. So you can utilize this not only for what the path of your swing is doing, you can also utilize it for what your footwork is doing, for what your legs are doing. I use it again, put it here, stand on this side of it. Now when I come down into the ball, my right leg has to hold longer. If my right leg goes too soon, it'll knock it out. So now I get a feel for starting down where the left side of my body, which we all know that when you change directions in the golf swing, you change directions with the lead side of your body. You don't change directions with the back side, which is what a lot of people do. So now this has given me the feedback that I can start the swing down and not have that move. So again, it's giving you feedback. This time not for what the club is doing, but for what your footwork and your body's doing.
For those of you who have a tendency to swing the club too far underneath, whether it be your backswing or downswing, those of you who hit hooks, pushes, blocks, you'll hit it heavy, I want you to take the inside approach. You can see this turns any direction. I want you to turn it, set it up, turn the cushion to where it's going to intimidate your backswing and downswing. You see I have a club laid down here to establish a target line. I want to know that so I know where I'm going. It's always good for a practice station, but now I can get set up. I can look at this and give myself, if I really want to fine tune it, I can tweak it even closer. Or if I have a shorter club, I can move even closer from that. I can go from here. If a longer club, I'm going to back away. I might have to move it back a little bit. But either way, what I'm looking for is get set up parallel to a target line that you've established, and then allow yourself, if I can swing the club away and go over the cushion here, then I should be able to go over it on the way back. If I come underneath, I'm going to hit it. So it should allow me to come back down and go back down the target line so I can prevent the club from coming too far underneath. I'll go ahead and make a swing. Now if I was too far under, I couldn't hit that nice little fade right there.
Hi, I'm Mark Lime. I'm on the Champions Tour practice tee right now, and I'd like to tell you a way I like to use the inside approach. Most players like to use it to kind of cure their slice, but for the advanced player, I think it helps to work on a little bit more swing plane issues, and those are the issues that I have. What I've done here to help you out is kind of line up a couple of clubs here. This is the swing path. Actually, this is the direction I want the ball to go. But with swing path, you basically want to stay on plane, and the plane is created by each player differently. It's the angle from his shoulders to the ball, so that is my swing plane right there. My problem is that sometimes my plane gets a little inside out or outside in. So with this buffer in this position, mainly it keeps me on plane through the golf shot. I don't really have many issues taking the club away, but getting through is where I get a little bit sloppy. So now, from my ball to my shoulders is the plane, and I have that buffer in a perfect position there. It also is a nice visual there. I've got that little leg going straight along the target line, these two clubs going along the target line, and I will go away from the target line into it and then back to the inside. Okay, let's watch. Well, that was pretty good. Wish I could take this thing on the golf course. A lot of ways you can use the inside approach. I've showed you the way that it helps me stay on plane through the shot, but here's another way that I like to use the inside approach. Sometimes what I do is I get a little under my plane, taking the club back. So I like to keep the inside approach in this fashion right here to make sure I stay on top of it. Let me show you. If I go under my plane, then I'll knock the buffer off. If I stay wide and on top of that plane, that's what I want to do. I want to make sure I stay on top of it, right there. Some good players, they get to lagging the club in there, boom, they're going to knock that baby off every time. So for me, I need to stay right on top of it and just pound the golf ball. So as you can see, you can use this on your backswing for a little swing key or swing thought, and on the follow through, you can use it on another drill. All kinds of little things you can do with this tool.
I'm Ryan Howison. We're here on the driving range of a nationwide tour event where I'm getting ready to start a tournament. And when I start struggling with my golf swing, it's usually because of one of two main faults. And the best product that I've found to help me fix those faults when I don't have a teacher around is the inside approach. The reason being that, like a lot of you, one of my biggest faults is that I start the club over the top from the start of my downswing. If I do that with the inside approach, obviously I'm going to clip this little foam pad. It's going to give me instant feedback that I'm doing it wrong, because as we all know, the correct swing path needs to come from the inside to hit the ball squarely, solidly, and to get your maximum distance. So not only will it give me feedback if I hit it, but it's a great visual aid for me to make sure that I stay inside the ball, clip it off the tee, and I can hit full shots with it. And that's one of the best assets of it. So if I do it right, I won't touch it. Wow, I hope I hit it that solid tomorrow during the tournament. Obviously, when you're on the golf course, you want to hit a fade or draw, especially at the tour level, to get the pins that are either on the right or left side of the green. So one of the great things I've found about the inside approach is I can design the shot that I want to hit just by moving the inside approach to the right or to the left. So if I want to hit a fade, this club being my straight target line, I'll just move the inside approach and point a little to the left. I set my club face down on the target line. Now all I have to do is swing along the foam pad of the inside approach, come from the inside, and if I maintain that open club face, I'm going to hit a fade. Now to hit a draw, which 90% of the amateurs that I play with really struggle with, everyone seems to come over the top and hit this big, huge fade, or unfortunately most of the time slice. The inside approach is great because we can do pretty much the same thing. We just rotate it and point it out to the right. So the ball stays the same. We just slide the foam pad, point it out to the right, put the